The only thing that we're interested in is putting money in your wallet. If you want to bet the fights, if you want to have a little bit of action, you are in the right place. With my partner, Ian Parker, I am Brett Okamoto.
We're ready to rock between our parlays, our props, our straight picks. It's time to make money. Let's go.
What's up, fight fans? Welcome back to another edition of UFC Best Bets with Brett Okamoto and my partner Ian Parker. That is the UFC Apex in lovely Las Vegas, Nevada. It is right back down the street from where the pay-per-view was last weekend, UFC 279 on the Strip. Now they go back to the Apex that's just right off the highway there. And we are here to talk about all things betting-wise for this new card, UFC Fight Night, headlined by Cory Sandhagen and Song Yadong. Ian, nice to see you again, buddy. Your early thoughts on this bantamweight matchup?
You know, this is going to be real interesting to see. Song Yadong has not had this type of step up in level of competition, and Sandhagen, you know, since his loss to Sterling, has kind of floated at the top. So, title implications in this fight. Very curious to see what both guys bring. Should be a real fun fight for this fight card.
It should be a fun fight. And as you guys probably see, I'm kind of casual, Brett, today. I got the hat on. I got the golf polo on. Immediately after we do this, I'm going to go hit the course and try to probably unsuccessfully break 90. We'll see how that goes. But we got business to take care of first at UFC Best Bets. But before we jump into this main card, let's take a look at the recap of UFC 279. Ian, how did we do over there at T-Mobile Arena?
You know, we were slightly profitable. You know, Norma Dumont was really the deciding factor at that plus 190. She dropped Danielle Wolf several times, couldn't get the finish. We missed out on Walker and Kutalaba by about 16 seconds. Another real close one there. But we hit Alatang. We hit Irene Aldana. Clearly, we predicted that she would win by up kick to the liver, obviously. And then we did get a little bit lucky. I think the MMA betting gods made up for the Dumont fight by giving us that Daniel Rodriguez win. So 3-2. And Dumont was a miss on an underdog, so profitable heading into this week. We're going to keep rolling. Let's go.
True. A little bit of bad luck, a little bit of good luck. After watching that fight play out with Dumont, I think that was the right call, especially at plus 190. I don't mind being on that prop. We just didn't have it go our way there for the full 15 minutes. Okay, let's look at this Saturday, UFC Fight Night main card. There are 6 fights on this main card. Now keep in mind, circle that right there. It starts at 7 Eastern on ESPN+, a little bit of an earlier one here this Saturday. Again, headlined by the aforementioned bantamweight fight between Cory Sandhagen and Song Yadong. Really important fight there at 135 pounds. You also got Chidi Njokuani taking on Gregory Rodriguez. Njokuani's been a little bit on fire this year. A lot of fun fights on this main card, including Andre Fili taking on Bill Algeo. That's an interesting one to talk from a betting perspective. We will get there eventually, but we are going to start, Ian, with Cory Sandhagen and Song Yadong. It is Cory's first appearance of 2022. Interesting year last year. He had a split decision loss to TJ Dillashaw. Plenty of people thought he should have won that fight, and then he went and fought Petr Yan for an interim championship, lost that fight via unanimous decision. Petr Yan, pretty tough customer, obviously. He's 30 years old. Betting community loves Cory Sandhagen, man. It seems like every time Vegas puts an odd out for Cory Sandhagen, it's going up by the time the fight starts. Song Yadong, 24 years old, already 5 years of experience in the UFC. What do we make of this crucial bout in the bantamweight division?
You know, I think right now it's going to come down to which way Cory Sandhagen plans to fight Song Yadong. Yadong carries knockout power. He's very fast. But you got a guy in Cory who's a methodical fighter, good fight IQ, fights from a distance, heavy output, good cardio, good wrestling, good takedowns. He's just someone that when he's gotten that top spot, you know, when he fought Algeo, he got caught. Petr Yan was a really good fight back and forth for a while until Yan pulled away. I think this is a good matchup for Cory, though. Yadong hasn't fought someone like Sandhagen. Sandhagen's got unpredictable footwork and that striking, that volume, that pace. You know, this is a real interesting one. We'll see how he deals with the power of Song Yadong.
Okay, so it seems like you're leaning Cory Sandhagen, but let's get your official pick, because at minus 195, you are paying a little bit of a premium here. I think you're paying for Cory Sandhagen as if he is, you know, right there, elite. I mean, you're talking about the Sterling, the TJ Dillashaw, the Petr Yan. You're putting him in that category by having him about a 2-1 favorite here against Yadong, who has shown a lot of promise and is only getting better at 24. Is that number too high for you, or do you like this number of minus 195?
You know, my baseline where I never go above on a straight bet would be -200. So we're right under that. And for me, that is good enough for me to lay the juice on Cory Sandhagen here. He's a very durable fighter. I don't see where Song Yadong wins outside of a knockout, which, again, just with Sandhagen, he doesn't get hit. I mean, he gets hit, but we've seen him take punishment. We've seen him be durable. And I just think that the level of competition he's fought is going to pay dividends here. So for me, I don't mind laying that juice. I think Cory Sandhagen gets it done. And if he does decide to take this fight to the floor, Yadong won't be a threat off his back.
Okay. All right. So more ways to win there for Cory Sandhagen. I agree with you guys. Very, very cerebral in his approach to the octagon. 5-round fight here. Very much looking forward to it. Let's go to the co-main event. 185 pounds. Chidi Njokuani taking on Gregory Rodriguez. Chidi's having a year, man. He's on a 4-fight win streak. He's getting some quick finishes. He looks great at 33. This guy is a UFC rookie, but he is not new to the game. This guy's fought in Bellator, RFA. He's fought in Tachi. He's got a lot of experience under his belt, and he looks better than he ever has, really. 14 knockouts there, so you see the power. Gregory Rodriguez, you know, he's had an interesting career. He came onto the Contender Series. He lost as a betting favorite. Since then, he is 5-1. 3 of those wins came in the UFC, and this is a close fight, at least as far as the odds makers are concerned. How do you see this one at 185 pounds?
You know, what's interesting about Chidi, he came into the UFC, you know, that win over Marc-Andre Barriault was very impressive, very quick. But I think Gregory Rodriguez is getting a little bit of disrespect here for someone in Chidi. Look, there's no question Chidi's explosive, good striker, but low volume. And off his back, if that happens, he really doesn't have great jiu-jitsu, not a lot of answers there. Against Dusko Todorovic, you know, Dusko was doing okay in the beginning until he got caught, and then Chidi ended it. But for me, the fact that Rodriguez is an underdog here is actually quite surprising. He just won in really impressive fashion over Julian Marquez, who's known for his durability, for his stand-up, for his power, and Rodriguez really took it to him. In the fight against Arman Petrosyan, he lost a very controversial split decision that I thought Rodriguez won. On top of that, Rodriguez has an excellent ground game that we just haven't seen because he hasn't needed to use it. And that's the difference between these two, the level of competition and the ground game. Someone who's a black belt in jiu-jitsu like Rodriguez. Rodriguez as an underdog here for me is the play. Or if you're willing to lay the juice that this fight doesn't go the distance, I expect a lot of violence here. Should be a fun fight, but give me RoboCop Rodriguez in this one.
Interesting, man. I love that when you say that you are surprised that one guy is the underdog, you actually think he should be favored. That's really, really good information. And I get it. You know, you're going to be paying a premium for Chidi Njokuani right now based on some of the highlights that he has put together in 2022. Let's go to the featherweight division, Ian. You got Andre Fili, who's 32. You know, he's kind of been up and down. He's won some fights that maybe you thought he'd lost. He's lost some fights that maybe you thought he'd won. I mean, the guys that he's lost to are very good. Andre Fili is not losing, you know, set up fights. He's losing to guys, you know, Charles Jourdain, Bryce Mitchell. Those are two good names. Bill Algeo is 3-2 in the UFC. He looks very well-rounded. Looks like a quality guy. I can't get a read on this one. I almost look at this fight and be like, oh, this is a fight that Andre Fili should win. And then I look at it again and I'm like, oh, this is a fight that Bill Algeo should win. This is a close fight, and the odds reflect that. -120 for Fili. What do you make of this one at featherweight?
You know, this may be one of those fights where you could sit back and just watch it and enjoy the pure insanity, the pace that may go on that someone like Bill Algeo tries to bring. But I do like Fili's maturation as a fighter. You know, listen, Algeo, there's no question. He's like a Tasmanian devil in there. If you don't finish him in that first round, he will come back. He will survive crazy. You saw in the fight against Herbert Burns, he was almost submitted. Then he came back and just absolutely put a beating on Burns. He's a tough guy, and he's fought some real good people in his early part of his career in the UFC. But if I have to pick a side, which it's my job, I'm going to go with Andre Fili here. I think he's the more technical striker. I don't think Algeo presents that same knockout power that someone like Brito Anderson did in that last fight. So for me, if Fili can use his wrestling and kind of use the striking to set that up, stay away from the power, don't get in a brawl, play it smart, play it a little bit safer here. I think Fili is the more talented, skilled fighter. Algeo's going to make this tough, but I think that the wrestling of Fili gets the win here. So I'm going to go with Andre Fili.
Yeah, I can understand that pick. And Fili, I feel like he does have kind of a safer route to go, but we also know that Fili, when it turns into an action fight, he can hold his own in that too. So this is a potential fight of the night to me. So we'll see how it plays out once it starts inside the octagon. Okay, let's go back to 185. We've got Alan Amedovski, Ian, who is 0-3 in the UFC. Still looking for that first win. He has struggled so far inside the octagon. He's coming off of back-to-back first-round losses. He's taken on Joseph Pfeiffer, who was on the Contender Series twice. Sometimes I come out and say it, like, what is this guy doing on the main card? Amedovski, he's been struggling, but let's see. He needs a win. Does he get it as a plus 350 underdog here?
Brett, I got 3 words for you. Be Joe Pfeiffer. Look, Joe Pfeiffer looked unbelievable in that Contender Series fight, and that was actually a tough matchup in my opinion. He fought someone with a good record, an LFA champ, and that was a real test, and he made it look easy, and I just don't see how he doesn't do the same thing here. I think the main card is to kind of give him exposure from what he did on the Contender Series. Dana really did label him the whole Beat Joe Pfeiffer thing, and he set the tone for the season after that fight. So give me Joe Pfeiffer to win this one, whether it's inside the distance or by TK or KO, whatever you can get those odds at. To me, that seems like a pretty solid play on this card.
Okay, well, you got to pay a premium for it, minus 450. But yes, Amedovski, again, still searching for that first win. It's going to be tough sledding there against Joe Pfeiffer, who has got some knockout power. Let's go to the heavyweight division. Tanner Bozier taking on Rodrigo Nascimento. This fight was supposed to happen in April. It didn't. The last time we saw Tanner Bozier was in June of 2021. He was getting OSP out of there, but he has been inactive since. Bozier is still the favorite, even after that layoff, minus 175. What do you think of this one?
You know what? I'm actually a big Tanner Bozier fan. Outside of the personality, which we know he's hilarious, he really shoots you straight. I think he's a very talented athlete. He's a talented fighter. I think he has kind of fallen, when he's lost to someone like Ilir Latifi. It was a struggle with the wrestling, a little bit with the grappling, had trouble getting back up, stopping the takedown. But when the fight stays standing, he's got good output, good cardio, good power, and I think that's how he wins this fight against Nascimento. I don't think Nascimento has fought someone as talented as Bozier. So if Bozier can stop the takedowns, I think are a little predictable from Nascimento, and this becomes a striking fight, I don't see Tanner Bozier losing here, and I really like it at this odds. I think the long layoff is what's giving us under the minus 200 number, so let's go with Tanner Bozier here.
Hey, there you go. If you don't think the layoff is going to impact him negatively, then maybe you can get a little value here on Tanner Bozier coming off of, again, he hadn't fought since June of 2021. Okay, let's wrap up this main card, man. 185 pounds. Anthony Hernandez, who, if you remember back in April, was in that weird kind of situation where he was supposed to fight Duplessis, and then Duplessis was going to fight Kelvin Gastelum, and then the whole card ended up changing because Gastelum fell off the card. He is taking on Marc-Andre Barriault, who started in the UFC at 0-3. Since then, he is 3-1 with 2 finishes, so he's really turned it around. Interesting odds here, minus 170 for Hernandez, Barriault plus 145. So it looks like a fight that you could get some action on, pretty competitive odds. What say you about this middleweight matchup, Ian?
My thing with Marc-Andre Barriault is I just think he's a little too predictable in the way he comes forward. I do think that he's got, we see the submission there with the guillotine, but I think he's fighting someone in Hernandez who is just better where Andre Barriault is good. I think Hernandez is durable. He's fought some tough guys on the ground like Adolfo Fierro where he won by submission. So I think unless Barriault is able to control the fight on the ground and really dictate the pace, I don't necessarily see him being Hernandez. I will say the number for Hernandez is a little high for my liking, so he will not be a best bet, but I do think Hernandez gets the win. Okay, so if you're going to bet this fight, probably want to take Hernandez, but maybe not getting all of the value that you would like to get there because it looks like a competitive fight at the very least. Okay, let's move on to the prelims, and the way we're going to do this is you want to talk about a featured prelim here, and let's do that with Jackson's versus Sabatini. What do you got on this matchup for us, Ian? This is going to be a fun one, especially on the ground. You got someone in Damon Jackson who continues to impress. When he's out there and he's controlling on the ground, he's landing on the feet. I know that's kind of a obvious statement, but he is someone who's been around for a while, and he, I think, flies under the radar. He's someone who's willing to fight anytime, anywhere, and he's always fun to watch. But there is something about Pat Sabatini, since he's been in the UFC, that I believe he's a real, true blue chip prospect here. He's someone to watch out for. I think this is a phenomenal matchup for him. He hasn't had too many guys to be able to compete with him on the ground, especially that are a little bit that are seasoned like Jackson. I do think Sabatini's wrestling, though, will be the key factor here. Jackson doesn't have the best takedown defense. He's threatening off his back, but Sabatini is just, in my opinion, he's a work of art when he's on top. He uses his strikes. He gets, the positioning is really solid. He's got a good base. I like Pat Sabatini.
Yeah, Sabatini's grappling is definitely a weapon of his. But Damon Jackson has been very comfortable in that underdog spot before. I think he and his coach over there at Fortis MMA really relished that opportunity. So, but we like Sabatini at -190. Okay, let's get to your full prelim picks and leans. Ian, remember guys, this card starts at 4 Eastern on ESPN Plus. So get those picks in early. Go ahead, Ian.
All right, we're gonna start Pat Sabatini over Damon Jackson. Aspen Ladd versus Sarah McMahon is so confusing to me. We talked about before how odds should be flip-flopped. I can't bet on Aspen Ladd when I believe Sarah McMahon is better than her everywhere. So let's go Sarah McMahon there. Trevin Giles and Louis Cosi fight to not go the distance. The number's a little pricey, but man, both these guys don't usually go all 3 rounds, especially Cosi. This Gomez versus Luke Boomy, I think Luke Boomy is going to win a striking battle. She doesn't really finish, doesn't carry that power, so let's take her by decision. Give me Zellhuber to win, that fight to not go inside the distance. I do think he gets the win here. Give me Basharat. I really like him in this spot. Jillian Robertson. Look, the blueprint when Agapova fought against Marina Moroz is there. Robertson's a similar fighter on the ground. And last but not least, I'm going to go with Van Camp here. We saw him get knocked out in his last fight. Same thing with Moda, but the difference here should be Van Camp's ground game if he chooses to use it. And that's what we're going to do for the prelims.
I got to tell you what, Ian, of course, with everything going on at UFC 279, it was a wild week, and so maybe this card is flying a little under the radar. When I look at these picks and I look at the competitiveness of some of these lines, I think this is an opportunity. I think we're going to have a week, man. I'm calling it right now. We are going to have a week this week. This is a good card to throw some action on and profit a little bit over there at the Apex. So with that said, where are we going with our best bets on September 17th at the UFC Apex?
Well, let's start off with the parlay first. I know everyone's always hungry to get a nice little action. Oh, no, you're good. Listen, I love that you were excited for the best bets. We're going to go with Zellhuber. We're going to go Pat Sabatini, Joe Pyfer, and then Rodriguez Nokiani to fight to not go the distance. That's going to give us, I believe, plus 250. So I really like that one in that fight. I'm not, the only one that may be concerning here if Rodriguez and Chidi surprises go all 3 rounds. Otherwise, I really like those 4.
All right, 4 bets to be a plus 250, and then we got a long shot odd before we get to the best bets. Where are we going with the long shot this week?
People were writing in the comments, where is the long shot? Where is it? Well, it's back. Let's go McMahon, Van Camp, Robertson, Fielli, I believe at plus 1715 on this one. I really like this here. Look, Fielli, we're getting almost even odds. McMahon at plus odds when I think she's going to wrestle her way over Aspen Ladd. Robertson's got a path to victory on the ground. And Van Camp, to me, is the only wild card in that one. If he stands and bangs, he may go to sleep, but he's got that ground game, and Moda's not great off his back. So if we can get that, let's hit the long shot this week to add to that fun week that you think we're going to have. And I agree with you.
That might have been me in the comments. I love the idea of betting $10 and winning $170. Okay, well, what about the best bets? Finally, let's get to those this weekend.
Let's go. Main event, Cory Sandhagen. It's below the minus 200 number. I think he's got more ways to win. We're going to go with it. Joe Pyfer, I can't speak about enough. This is the perfect matchup for him to come off the Contender Series and get that finish over someone who just gets finished in that first round a lot. And you talk about Pyfer being minus 450. Brett, look, minus 165. We're going to get it there. Let's go with the bulldozer from Canada, Tanner Boser. Please keep the fight standing and use that jab, and we will cash that ticket. By the way, as you notice, we are going 6 best bets this weekend. We're feeling fire. Let's go. Sarah McMahon, plus odds. Please wrestle over Aspen Ladd. Giles and Cosi fight to not go the distance. That is at minus 200. I am so confident in that play. We're going to lay the juice. And last but not least, off the Contender Series, we saw his brother kick some butt this week on Tuesday. He's going to follow suit with Basharat over Gravely. And that's going to be our best bets this week.
I love it when we're in sync, buddy. I mean, we really do not talk about these best bets before, and here I am saying it's going to be a big week. Let's be aggressive, and there you are with 6 best bets, where usually your average is about 4 or 5. So me and you are always on the same page, brother. I love it. We're going to win some money this weekend at UFC Fight Night. Don't forget, I'm going to say it again, early card 7 Eastern on ESPN+. Thank you so much for watching, and now I got to go because I got that tea time. Wish me luck. See you next week.
Go get it, kid.